we are, guys and gals. 150 episodes consecutively. Considering what we put on every week, guys and gals, without you, the engine that makes this thing go, we'd be nowhere. If you're a fan of igloos from the fright in your eyes, I see it all, because that intro can melt the South Pole. This place we call the Green Room is filled with edutainment and has plenty of heart and soul. It's time I listen to Stanislavski and take a beat as I process everything in real time. This is the 150th consecutive episode of the Green Room, a feeling that cannot be expressed through a mere rhyme. This craft, this art, this blank canvas that we fill with our souls are reminders that passion is eternal. This heart of mine, guys and gals, on full display, I provide unto you wholeheartedly. It guides me. It is as eternal as it is external. Mid-2000s, Richard Donner, my mentor, director of Superman, Lethal Weapon, Goonies, and more, took me under his wing. There hasn't been a second in which I abandoned this craft ever since. Its purpose I shall always sing. With over 7-figure total views on 53-plus pages total, week in and week out, innovation is our name and the sweat is the sweet. Dedication, labor, innovation only arrive when your effort is absolute. So put that in a tweet. And in this celebrity tournament that has captivated the masses, all of you, the field is truly one of a kind. Luminaries from all walks of life gathering to compete for the pride and the prize. This is truly a sport of the mind. And as of tonight, 14 Hall of Famers, 17 award winners, champions, legends, up-and-comers, and the very best compete. Guys and gals, the very best. If style had anything to do with it, you know it would be me, but this isn't about being best dressed. With $13,000, a trip for 2 to Greece, and becoming the first champion of this star-studded field, a lot is on the line. But you, our audience, the engine that makes this thing go, are the sweet nectar that we appreciate like fine old wine. So sit back and enjoy this month as round number 1 isn't quite done. Thought-provoking topics that cover it all, history, sports, philosophy, but you know how we do. We always have fun. As strangers become friends and we all come together, let's remember that we are closer than one might surmise. Limitless visions of innovative bliss experienced by an ensemble is the vision behind these eyes. So with that, let the tournament continue. But before I bring in 3 incredible human beings and competitors tonight, let's greet the judges. The following judge is a man that is class personified, and that is an understatement. He also happens to be a scholar. But that only begins to tell the story, so let me continue to holler. The man was the general manager for the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Hawks of Atlanta. He left each franchise better, as his presence was like a gift from dear old Santa. He co-hosts Intertwining Thoughts with yours truly on the network, and we just recorded episode number 4. He's also in round 2 of this tournament, just in case you're keeping score. Every time he's in our presence, it's an absolute treat. So give it up to a kind, humble being, last name Babcock, first name Pete. Pete Babcock, welcome. You are judging tonight, my friend.
Thank you, Avi. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. That intro was unbelievable. It was great seeing all that. You do an amazing job.
No, man, I'm so happy to see you here, my friend. I appreciate you wholeheartedly. Pete, you're in round number 2 as well. Are you looking forward for that to kick off?
I'm ready. I can't wait to see who my opponent's going to be. I'm a little nervous about that too. So there's some awful good debaters in this whole contest.
An amazing field, an amazing human beings, guys and gals, doing this in real time. Sometimes tech happens, and you know what? My God, I want them to know how much I appreciate them for being quality human beings and being here to compete for the pride and the prize. Now, Scott gave you all you can handle as well in round number 1. Scott Winters.
Scott was great, and it just added to the competition, friendly competition that we both happened to grow up in Phoenix. One of us on one side of the tracks and the others on the other side of the tracks. We won't say who was on the better side of the tracks, but he was at the privileged school and I was at the struggling up and coming neighborhood, I guess was the best way to put it. But Scott was terrific. It was fun debating with him and just spending time with him. I was really impressed with him.
Well, Pete Babcock, I'm impressed with you, my friend. We recorded episode number 4 of Intertwining Thoughts just yesterday with Ken Dooley. Can't wait to talk about him and, of course, the amazing work he's done and is still doing, and you as well. I will see you soon, my friend.
Very good.
Thank you, my friend. Guys and gals, Pete Babcock is one of our judges tonight on this 150th consecutive episode. I'm trying to let that sink in myself. The second judge tonight is a man that runs the Cauliflower Alley Club with dignity and class. His honesty, friendship, and positive energy is constant. For that, I raise a glass. He too is a fellow co-host on this network as we bring you live in the Hive. He's in round 2 of this ultra-competitive tournament as he has the drive to thrive and deprive opponents of moving on live. So do your homework when competing against this versatile human being. If not, you better beware. Give it up to a friend and down-to-earth human being. First name Brian, last name Blair. Welcome, my friend.
Avi, I am so excited to be here. You always, you never cease to amaze me. I mean, just everything is fresh. You watch a show and everything is fresh, even though you see some of the same names. I mean, it's exciting. It's really exciting. I just get kind of chilly willies, I guess. You know, I catch the buzz and I feel the sting whenever Avi Klein does his thing. And brother, you do it so well. And I am just so happy once again just to be here.
Well, your integrity is something I don't have to sell, even though you said I do it well. Every time you ring the bell, your opponents better watch out. And I know that in round number 2, you're waiting for whoever might be in your path. Am I right?
Oh, I never turned down a challenge, Avi.
I love that.
I'm excited. I mean, whoever it may be, I mean, there's some fierce competitors. I mean, fierce competitors that are amazingly intelligent. And
we call this competitive camaraderie because that's what it is. It's competitive, but there is camaraderie. You see the respect. That's what it's about. You've been with us for a few years. You know I don't do controversy, guys and gals. We keep it here as clean, but we have a lot of fun as well. I dub it edutainment. And Live in the Hive is just that. We talk about every topic under the sun. Brian Blair, before I put you backstage as well, man, again, you are one fierce debater, and I personally do not want to face you in round number 2.
Well, let the chips fall where they may. But again, it's always a pleasure to be here. You've got a tremendous audience, tremendous competitors. I mean, you make the show. I loved listening to some of the comments. I mean, you do come prepared, Avi, and I appreciate that. Expect no less tonight.
Thank you, my friend. Likewise, guys, Brian Blair. And guys, our third judge will be making his way in soon, not now. I'll be introducing him soon, maybe perhaps after the first topic. So with that, let's bring in our competitors, guys and gals. Our competitors, guys and gals, are going to be coming in momentarily, but there is one right now, and we're doing this live. There's a tech issue. I don't see him backstage. I see 2 of the competitors backstage. I do. The gentleman who I spoke to earlier today, I recorded with, I do see you. And my dear friend as well, I see you backstage as well. There is one competitor who might have a tech issue, so why not bring in the judges and have them converse for a moment while I call him and see if he can sign back in? So, Pete Babcock, I'd like to bring you in at this moment with B. Brian Blair and have you guys officially meet. I'm going to call, since we're live, this rarely happens, but it's okay. Tech happens. I'm going to call one of the competitors and see if they can sign back in. In the meantime, Pete Babcock, Brian Blair.
Hello, Pete.
Brian, how are you? Nice.
Very good, my friend. How are you doing?
Doing well. This is an amazing situation that Avi has created. This whole network has been it's been such an education for me and fun at the same time.
Yes, I mean edutainment. I like that word. You know, I haven't heard that. Obviously, another Avi original, but that's what it is. You know, you get such an education, and it's so entertaining. It's so fresh, Pete. I mean, you see people from all walks of life, and you realize that there's some really smart people out there, and some very creative people out there, and. Speaking of creative, you know, Avi created this whole thing from a vision, and I don't know anybody that works harder than he does. Hardest worker in showbiz.
I would second that. He's, you know, I think he sleeps 4 hours a night, and maybe if he's lucky, he's got so many shows going, and he keeps them on schedule, and he. You know, his interviews are so well prepared. I mean, I've never dealt with anybody before. I'm sure you're in the same situation that he comes in telling you stuff about yourself that you either forgotten or didn't even know, and he's just the ultimate in preparation.
Well, working with you guys is a blast, Brian. I mean, we've worked together for a while, and Pete, we've worked together for a while. I want to do you guys service because you guys have given back so much. Of yourselves to others as well. That's undoubted. So, guys and gals, thank you again for episode 150. Mr. B. Brian Blair, I will see you soon. Mr. Pete Babcock, I will see you again. Thank you, good sirs. Guys and gals, our competitors are ready to come in right now. Again, we are live. We are live, and I could see, based on their expressions, they're here to win this thing. So let me bring in our first competitor right now, if I will. The first competitor has a smile that can light up any room. She reminds us that we have the power to turn on and turn off, guys and gals, I should say, the gloom and doom. Her light and spirit began when she was born in Kansas City, Kansas. She bestowed upon us emotion, honesty, truthfulness, and she always filled up a blank canvas. She's a true tour de force, working with everyone from Spielberg, Peter Jackson, Wes Craven, and Stephen King. Fans and co-stars alike appreciated her works of wonder, as did the studios. Her work helped them make the bling bling. She starred in over 400 commercials and 130 films to date. Her ability to inspire others, educate, and relate are even more qualities that make her great. She reminds us all to love ourselves, as we are often taught not to. That doesn't make us vain. I subscribe to this notion as I love myself, as do the masses, from Jersey to Spain. These rhymes are about to end, but I'd be remiss if I forgot to mention that she's a class act. She always dug deep and provided her characters with layers of truth and honesty. That is a fact. This is the time to sit back and relax and jump for joy and glee. I'd like to welcome to the green room a kind and talented human being. Last name Wallace, first name Dee. Dee Wallace, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Avi. I didn't know you were a poet too.
I mean, neither did I. I'm not a poet. I'm not. God almighty. Dee, congratulations, because there's a lot of good happening in your life right now.
Yes, my grandbaby just arrived. My first grandbaby. So, yeah, lots of good things in my healing work and my acting work. I'm very blessed. But then I create it that way, Avi.
I love it. You did. I love our conversations. And, you know, when we're on live, guys and gals, I'd like to see someone try to do 150 consecutive episodes. We're trying to give this to you for free here on Facebook and YouTube land. Dee Wallace. I mean, we're talking about her busy schedule and what's happening in her personal life. And again, she's here to win this tournament. Am I right? You're here to win pride and the prize.
Hell yes. Why play if you don't want to win?
I love it.
I want to win every day I get up. Every single minute that I'm alive. Otherwise, what's the point?
I love it. I love Dee Wallace from our viewers. I want to always bring up their comments. Welcome, Dee. Dee's a delight. Yes, absolutely. Dee Wallace, welcome. So much love here. Guys, 7-figure views on 53 pages, not including my personal one, all because of this amazing, amazing engine that I call the viewers. They're the engine that makes this thing go, and this amazing, amazing panel of human beings that are competing tonight as well. Dee Wallace, I will put you backstage and bring in our next competitors and then bring you right back.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Guys, Dee Wallace, I'm already very, very excited, extremely excited. An intelligent human being she is, a thoughtful human being she is, and I'm glad she's here live to compete for the pride and the prize. Guys, the following man is one of the all-time greats, and he so happens to be one of the most honest men alive. His talent on the field was only one reason he was able to consistently thrive. By 7th grade, he was already making his name as a running back that would never look back. As if excelling in football wasn't enough, in high school, he also ran and won the 100-yard dash. Running track. He was chosen All-American, Southwest Conference, Offensive Player of the Year, and finished 3rd for the Heisman Trophy. Soon thereafter, we'd all witness his greatness. Fans, celebrities, and even my lovely aunt named Sophie. The LA Rams selected him in the 1983 draft. In his 4th pro game, he scored an 85-yard touchdown against the Jets. He excelled at his craft. He was known as Mr. Fourth Quarter and began work off the field, helping kids stay away from crime. There's so much more to delve into, but soon I'll finish my last rhyme. He was named to the NFL 100th anniversary all-time team, and in 1999 was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Despite the name, the fame, the game, and the acclaim, the man knows he is still the same. Humble. For all of you watching, I implore you not to worry, as our conversation is upon us. No need to call a priest, a rabbi, or a cleric. Let's welcome a talented, kind, real, and classy human being to the green room. Last name Dickerson, first name Eric. Eric, how are you, my friend?
What's up, Avi? How you doing, man?
I am doing well, my friend. Man, it's good to see you, and you look great.
Good seeing you, man. How you doing? I'm like, Dee, I know you're a poet.
I don't know about all that, man. You like the intro?
Yeah, I loved it. I'm still laughing. I didn't know that about myself.
Well, it's all for you, my friend. And, again, you've given so much back to the community, to people in need, something that you probably won't bring up because you're humble. I'll always bring it up. You are a friend, and you give so much back. You're a gentleman, and that you epitomize the word gentleman. But you're also a competitor, and you, too, are here to win it. 2 out of 3 will advance tonight, 2 out of 3. But you're here to move on to round 2 and win the whole thing. Am I right?
Well, yes, this is my first time, so, I'm kind of a newbie. So I kind of work my way through it. But, yeah, of course. I mean, You're always here to win. Nobody say I came to lose. I come to win, most definitely.
Absolutely, Mr. Dickerson. Mr. Dickerson is a competitor. He's here to win. I will place you backstage momentarily, my friend, and bring in our third competitor. Guys and gals, our third competitor right now is someone I'm going to bring in. And wow, what a talent and what a class act he is. Loved speaking with him today as well. He's a man that epitomizes what this craft is all about. His passion for the arts runs like a river. Never does he experience a creative drought. No doubt he's ready for this bout. He was nominated for the Golden Globes not once, not twice, but thrice. He was also nominated for an Oscar Academy Award. Pick a film of his, I'm there, name the price. The man, I'm doing this again, ×2 today. The man has been all around the world, from Mumbai to Shanghai, Austin to Boston, Aruba to Cuba, Angola to Pensacola, Arizona to Barcelona, Daytona to Verona, Alaska to Nebraska, Bombay to LA, Sudan to Japan, Montreal to Nepal, Minnesota to North Dakota. He's helped many filmmakers as one of the hardest working storytellers in showbiz. Y'all can't wait to see who it is, right? Nobody wants a Saturday night quiz. His positive energy always lights up the room, as his aura is never quite grim. Let's not forget the love that he and his wife have for animals. That is something that speaks to her and him. He's here to win this whole thing, so let me bring him out quick. A multifaceted, versatile, substance over style, kind human being. Last name Roberts, first name Eric. Eric Roberts, welcome to the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like a much more vivacious intro next time, though.
I will do my best. I will take your notes, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Eric, are you here as well to win this entire shebang, the whole thing, pride of the prize?
I have one line for you, buddy. I want to win it all.
Yeah. Yes. Eric Roberts, my friend. Again, I am so glad you are here. I want to bring in all the competitors at this point. Guys, Erica, your dear friend Dee Wallace is here as well.
Hello, Dee.
Hi, baby cakes.
And also Mr. Eric Dickerson. I'm going to bring him in momentarily. Eric, if you can hear me in the back, I want to pull you in so we can start this debate. Guys and gals, I'm going to call Eric. And if Dee and Eric don't mind speaking, reminiscing a bit, I would appreciate that. I'm going to call Eric, and we're going to get this thing started right off the bat.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm great. I didn't hear a word he said. It was all echoes. What did he say? Do you have your mic?
I think maybe you have two sites open. The same thing was happening to me, Eric. Look up in your bar and see if you have two different things open.
I'm looking because I do hear an echo.
Yeah, and it's
Dee, if you do have the Facebook link open, you can X the Facebook out completely, and that should do it. If you want to X out the Facebook, just close the Facebook page. It could be here.
I fixed it, but he's having a problem now.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Guys and gals, I will be here momentarily. Mr. Eric Dickerson, I think you are ready to compete as well. Here we go.
Hey, Eric.
What's up, Eric? How you doing?
Cool cat.
Oh, everybody's Eric but me. I guess I win already, huh?
I love it. Guys, I love that this is the 150th episode. I'm celebrating it with you guys. I really appreciate that. Eric Roberts, Dee Wallace, and Eric Dickerson. Guys, I'm going to start off with topic number 1. History. It's mainly written as though all contributions were made by a few great figures we all know about. But they're also made by thousands of people, sometimes called unsung heroes. People who've contributed to our society but are not discussed much. These unsung heroes have been ignored, forgotten, or disregarded by history. In some cases, their culture or historical contributions may have been considered unimportant because of their race, nationality, ethnicity, religion, or gender. Why not call the humanitarianism of William Penn, who made peace with the Delaware Indians instead of warring on them, as an unsung hero? Why not John Woolman, who in the years before the Revolution refused to pay taxes to support the British wars and spoke out against slavery to ward off alienation and gloom? It is only necessary to remember the unremembered heroes of the past and to look around at the unnoticed heroes of the present. Guys and gals, the way this is going to work, as you know, Dee Wallace will start things off first. When she is finished, Eric Roberts will go second, then Eric Dickerson. If at any point during Dee's presentation, Mr. Roberts or Mr. Dickerson want to rebut, you raise the index finger, I'll pop in and they can rebut. It's optional. There'll be up to 10 minutes per topic. Dee Wallace will make a case for Betty Friedan as an unsung hero in this country's history. Eric Roberts will make a case for Adlai Stevenson as an unsung hero in this country's history. And then Eric Dickerson will make a case for Frederick Douglass as an unsung hero in this country's history. My friend Dee, are you ready to kick things off?
Hey, I'll take my best stab at it, baby.
In a three?
I'm very passionate about who I received to support. Betty Friedan changed literally the trajectory of women's rights and possibilities in this country. Before that, before her and all of her movements, we literally go back to the 1920s and 30s in the women's suffragette movement. And that was, of course, a time when women came out very powerfully in this world, because you know why? Because we were needed. We were needed in the factories. We were needed to help keep this country going and alive and prosperous. And then after the war era, we kind of slid back to, oh yeah, she's a woman, so she's going to raise the kids and keep the family happy and make all the guys dinner. And so then Betty came along, and she started out, well, she was a politician. She was a journalist. She worked in a lot of different areas. She was a psychologist. And then she wrote this amazing book called The Feminine Mystique. And it became a bestseller because it was a message whose time had come. It was a message of reminding women who they were. And we embraced it. We rose up and supported it. And it awakened us to what we really wanted to do with our lives again, and the possibilities that were open to us, and the power that we had. And it became a bestseller, but it became a movement. It became a movement of women saying, I matter. I matter in the workplace. I matter in my opinions. I matter in politics. It created the National Organization for Women that ultimately came forward for the first argument for anti-abortion and pro-abortion, and brought that all to the public's minds and literally changed the trajectory of women's rights, including abortion, in this country. And then she joined forces, and I'm going to read this so I get it correct, with creating the National Women's Political Caucus with Bella Abzug, Shirley Chisholm, and Gloria Steinem. And so my question is, where are you now that we really need you again? Who's going to be our Betty Friedan now? Now that we are on the cusp of losing our rights all over again without having a voice in this country. We're going backwards, guys. We are going backwards into an antiquated time that should have been put to rest in the 1960s when all of this made its forefront into our country.
Wow. Dee Wallace, guys and gals. Of course, guys, this is only round one. We have 3 rounds here tonight. What an amazing conversation we're going to have thanks to these topics being delivered and being discussed and articulated by these incredible human beings. Mr. Roberts, if you could please make a case for Adlai Stevenson as an unsung hero in this country's history, in a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Well, even people who are not yet or were alive thinking about the Cuban Missile Crisis are aware of it. The Cuban Missile Crisis has been prominently featured either directly or indirectly in so much of our popular culture, books, movies, television. I'm going to get a little personal here. I don't feel there's ever been a time when society doesn't feel the ticking clock of the world coming to an end. So many of us, we live scared of our own mortality, scared of death, of course. But even worse than living scared is to live so scared that we waste our lives. Waste almost always happens from misunderstanding, a lack of awareness to the very simple fact that other people's needs very closely resemble our own. One little side story, and then I'll get right back on the subject so I don't go over time. My wife went to the United Nations International School. She was a very young child, and when Kennedy took office as president, the UN was strong and it stood for peace. The general population in the United States felt safe until, quite suddenly, they didn't. These threats were public and clear. We read about them in our newspapers, our magazines. We saw them on our most trusted anchors, Huntley and Brinkley on the evening news. But we were counseled quite directly by our own president from his own Oval Office. Frighteningly, we were informed that there were missiles not only pointed at us, but stationed less than 100 miles from Florida. Overnight, the very mention of the word Cuba invoked terror. My wife actually wrote a letter to the Russian Premier Khrushchev, beseeching him to find in his heart to protect his children and grandchildren, to in fact protect all innocent children over the whole world. It really did feel like the world could be coming to an end. And almost all of the students at the UN school were children of the international ambassadors to the UN. So when Adlai Stevenson publicly showed the Russian ambassador photos of the Russian missiles staged upon the shores of Cuba, combined with some quite brilliant back channel diplomacy, the Russian threat was made to be the clear and present danger that it was. And Mr. Stevenson, who made very clear that the United States would not only stage a staunch defense of itself, but made clear an aggressive and mutually destructive attack would lay the USSR bare. Those were his words, we'll lay you bare. Adlai made clear that the world would not stand for this kind of unprovoked aggression. However, he made clear that we would be more than willing, this is the good part, he was so ahead of his time, to stand down, more than willing to stand down our nuclear weapons if Russia would stand down theirs. Well, Russia at first was resistant to the offer, but Mr. Stevenson pressed on, and through his determination, his willingness to stay humble throughout the negotiating process, the terrifying crisis was averted, and the threat itself, those missiles, were removed. Now, Mr. Stevenson knowingly made the conscious decision to remain an unsung hero so that his president and the Russian government could claim a mutually agreed upon resolution, allowing Russians to save face, and quite frankly, our own. I mean, what could possibly be, I ask you, what could possibly be more heroic than choosing the good of the many over the good of oneself? Adlai Stevenson, you're the man.
Mr. Eric Roberts, thank you so much. Guys and gals, hopefully that's what we provide you guys, edutainment, entertainment, education from class personified human beings like Eric Roberts, Dee Wallace, and Eric Dickerson. Mr. Dickerson, I am going to give you the floor right now, my friend, if you can please make a case for Frederick Douglass as an unsung hero in this country's history.
Like I said, I'm a newbie at this, brand new at this, but I'll start out by saying this. I think everyone pretty much in the United States knows who Christopher Columbus is. everyone knows who the Lone Ranger is. But the Lone Ranger was depicted after a black man by the name of Bass Reeves. No one knows that. Just like no one really knows who Frederick Douglass is. I never heard of Frederick Douglass's name until I think I was in my late 40s. I wasn't taught about Frederick Douglass in history. Frederick Douglass is a guy who was predominantly known for anti-slavery, writing bills about slavery. He was a young man from Maryland when he actually escaped from Maryland. And I still don't know how he got fake ID to get on a boat to get away from Maryland. That just amazes me at the age of 20 to come to an area of DC where I guess that was still slavery, but no slavery for him. And some of his words, some of his famous quotes are, "If there's no struggle, there's no progress." And that's very true, because, you know, when you are a black man, and me being a black man, I can relate to Frederick Douglass, not as a slave, but I still know what it's like to be looked upon just because of your skin color. Other things he said, I would unite with anybody to do right, but with no one to do wrong. Now think about that. Here's a black man. He doesn't care what color you are. If you're doing right, that's what counts. And that's really what counts. One of Frederick Douglass's big thing was the rights for women. I mean, think about that. You're talking about Frederick Douglass was born in 1818. Now, 1818. Now he's in the 1800s, and he's talking about rights for women, and also not just women, not just black women, but white women also, women as a whole. Just like Dee talked about the things for women. I mean, I think it's fantastic that a guy that was born into slavery was not just thinking about getting away from being a slave, but also thinking about women in particular also. Frederick Douglass was known for having great speeches. I mean, one thing that I think people talk about was his eloquence. And think about, for a black man to be born in the 1800s, you're not supposed to know how to read or write. Some of the things he wrote, people didn't believe that a black man was able to write that because he was black. I think that Frederick Douglass's story should be told more, especially to black young Americans that really don't know our history. They don't teach us our history. They don't tell us about our history. So for me, I for sure think Frederick Douglass is a guy that should be, like I say, an American hero or a great activist. I'll close by saying this here. When I think about the things he did, think about a man, his last thing that he did. I'm reading this. Douglass remained an activist speaker till his death in 1895. He died of a heart attack after coming home. Where was he coming home from? A national women's rights group.
Wow, so cool.
Died at home. So that was one of his last acts. And they said it was in the infant stages from him trying to do right for women. So for me, most definitely, my guy would be Frederick Douglass.
And he also had long hair. He had long hair.
Yeah, big hair. You got that right.
Yeah, Douglas County, Georgia, is actually named after him. I'm from Atlanta, right. Partially, so Douglas County is named after him. Yeah, he was a hero to a lot of us, pal. He was a cool cat.
So many. And I love Unsung Heroes because before we start voting now, I'll bring in the judges. And of course, all of you guys, the engine that makes this thing go in the comment section, you'll be voting live as well. We've got 2 wildcard voters in the comment section. We always switch it up every week. Guys, the reason why I stopped teaching U.S. history for so many years is because I wasn't allowed to talk about unsung heroes. I wasn't allowed to talk about the Buffalo Soldiers. I wasn't allowed to talk about civil rights leaders like Diane Nash. I wasn't allowed to talk about any of this stuff. And I'm glad now that on this network, we can talk about people that mattered, people that helped, women, minorities, individuals that did not receive the credit for helping us in times of need in history. It's no mystery, guys and gals, that these are the unsung heroes. I'm glad I'm not voting. Mr. Pete Babcock is voting. So, Mr. Babcock, please let us know who you're voting for on this round and why. And guys, remember, judges' votes are worth 3 points each. And of course, all of you in the comment section, a point each, but also the wildcard voters, your points are worth 3 as well. So, Mr. Babcock, please let us know who won this round and why.
Well, all great arguments. I was impressed with all three debaters representing their respective people. Starting with Frederick Douglass, Avi, as you know, one of my passions has been civil rights in the game of basketball. It's one of the things that I teach classes on, and so Frederick Douglass has always been one of my heroes, and I've read his autobiography, and I would encourage anybody who has not had an opportunity to do it, read his autobiography, because this is a man who, for the most part, was self-educated. He had a little bit of help with the family that he lived with in Baltimore until the wife was teaching him behind the scenes. The husband found out, stopped the education, but he learned on the streets, taught himself to read, write, and when you read his autobiography, you can't believe how well done it the book is. It's amazing. But anyway, Eric, you did a great job of talking about Frederick Douglass, and I think he certainly is worthy of being. I don't know that he's an unsung hero, because I think he may not be as well known as he should be, but he certainly is an American hero. Dee, I love the passion you had about explaining Betty Friedan's background, her accomplishments, the things that she took on, the challenges that she took on, and how much we could use somebody like that around today with today's challenges that we have. And Eric, with Adlai Stevenson, I lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis. I remember very well, day to day, what was happening with the 13 days that counted down, until we knew that it was the blockade worked and the Russians turned and went back. And the fact that Adlai Stevenson was negotiating all this behind the scenes and gave credit, let Kennedy take the credit, let Khrushchev take the credit. Because of all that, I'm gonna have to go with Eric Roberts.
Mr. Pete Babcock votes for Eric Roberts. Eric Heron in the back, if you could tally that, I appreciate that. We'll tally that in the back. What a time it was. Yeah, I mean, guys, the closest to World War III, without question. Who knows if we didn't find out those soccer fields in Cuba? Who knows what would have happened? We all know that there was a problem because the Cubans did not play soccer. So we started questioning that. There's something to be said about that. But guys and gals, Pete Babcock, thank you again. Mr. Eric Roberts receives 3 points from Mr. Pete Babcock.
Thank you, Pete.
I'm sorry, Pete.
I said great job with Eric. I mean, I think all three did a great job. It's not these are not easy to judge. I'm telling you. I mean, I've been on the other side of it, debating, but judging is.
In all honest clarity, though, in all honest clarity, I cheated. I did a report on Adlai Stevenson about 50 years ago in school. so I had Adlai in the back of my head kind of tight.
Wait, weren't the Knicks actually playing good around that time? They were playing good.
That's
I think so. I can do the math here.
I got to give you credit. It's good.
Oh, my gosh, guys and gals. Here, Mr. Pete Babcock, thank you, sir, again. And we'll bring him back for, guys, Mr. Pete Babcock, intertwining thoughts on the network as well, part of 60-plus shows on this network. Go to www.theknewnetwork.com. That's www.theknewnetwork.com. Who knew? We knew, and so do you. 60-plus shows featuring luminaries from all walks of life with the regular programming once per month where they delve deeply into topics that truly matter. Mr. B. Brian Blair, you matter to me as well. You'll be judging. Let us know who won this round and why, good sir.
Well, it was very close. All three were passionate about their subjects. I liked the way Dee spoke about, the struggles of women and how Betty Friedan really was a pioneer on this issue. And then as I heard, Eric speak about Frederick Douglass, who we all know, he's hardly an unknown hero.
I was about to interrupt you. No, I didn't talk about Frederick.
I'm sorry. Thank you. But he also was in the plight for women, and then Dee kind of wove in how things have all of a sudden gotten backwards in the day we're living in right now.
Wow.
And I ask myself on a daily basis, what is going on with this nation? And the bottom line is, we need more heroes. We need more Adelaide Stevensons. We need more Betty Fridas, and obviously we do need more Frederick Douglasses at this time. And I also liked the way Eric mentioned, speaking of Adelaide Stevenson, about how he chose the good of many over the good of oneself. I mean, we all need to start having that kind of attitude. How can we help our friends? How can we help each other out? I mean, that's a good thing. Eric, you're a hero. Eric Dickerson is a hero, whom we all love, a hero in his own right. And I'm just happy to be able to see him on the screen across from me. By the way, Frederick Douglass was born in 1895. I thought, again, all three were passionate, but I'm going to give my, only because Eric Dickerson read more things instead of coming right off the top of his head. All three were great again, but I'm going to give my vote to Pete. To Eric. Excuse me.
Eric Roberts? Eric
Yes.
Roberts.
Eric Dickerson.
Eric Roberts. I love it. If I was voting on personal choice, I'd vote for Eric Dickerson as a hero. But I'm trying to be fair, and I just thought that that Eric Roberts laid the case out for Adelaide Stevenson just a hair better.
Well, on the football network this morning, I watched a highlight reel of Mr. Dickerson. Man.
Wow.
He was bad to the bone.
Really, I don't want to see it anymore. I know I can do that.
Mr. Dickerson, how about this? And maybe you'll concur. I'm watching a highlight reel now. Everyone here on screen is a highlight reel to me. Again, human beings that matter, talking about topics that matter. Wow, it's from the heart. Hits me right here. Mr. Brian Blair, thank you for giving back as well so much to people that need a lot. You do that every day, my friend. Thank you, Brian Blair. We'll see him in the second topic and see who he votes for and why. Thank you. All right, guys. So we're tallying in it back. Let's bring in our other two judges. Let's bring in Giselle. Let us know who you're voting for and why in this round.
Hi. Welcome back. Thanks, great to see you again. For those of you.
What's your background?
My background. I am a storyteller and I am a fight choreographer.
Cool.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I'm currently in classes for choreography. I just wrapped a class on staff, and this week we'll be getting more classes in small sword and choreography, and we'll be renewing some of my skills with the Society of American Fight Directors.
I've been yelled at by a lot of guys in your job.
Well, we're not going to yell. We will correct gently for safety, but yeah, we're over the yelling. That's a little bit more old school. Mr. Dickerson, I am surprised that you chose Frederick Douglass, and I hope this makes you feel better because we are learning about him in schools now. At least I did when I was in school, and I remember it being brought out how great of an orator he was, how he achieved his education, how he learned to read and write, how he was self-taught. I can't really think of him as an unsung hero, and you were not able to change my mind on that, although I did not know about his work for women's rights. So thank you for educating me on that as well. Miss Wallace, loved your points on Betty Friedan, especially when she joined forces with Shirley Chisholm, Gloria Steinem, and I missed the third woman's name, Bella something, so I will have to look that up. And
Congresswoman Bella Abzug.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. But my vote is also going to Mr. Roberts. He gave me the most complete argument. We also learned about Mr. Stevenson in school, but not as in-depth as Mr. Douglass, actually. So I knew he was vice president. I knew he was running. It was a big ticket for him. Was he going to run for president? Was he not? But I did not know the background of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So my vote goes to Mr. Roberts.
Thank you very much. So,
I didn't know what he was.
Roberts gets 3 more points, guys. I'm only muting one microphone here just for reverb, but guys and gals, trust me, That will not affect anything whatsoever right now. We are here live, guys and gals.
Reverb for us, boss. You got rid of the reverb for us. Thank you.
Well, I got to tell you, guys and gals, again, this is my pleasure, and I don't want to vote. So thank you for taking the pressure off me, Eric Roberts, Eric Dickerson, and Dee Wallace. I am moderating. I would not be able to vote. So it's tough. And this is only round number 1. Mr. Eric Heron, great debate champion of our mini tournament that started in December. Now we got this gigantic grand debate tournament. Who you vote for and why, good sir?
You don't want to vote, so you put it off on me. Thank you. Love you.
That's right.
Thank you. So let me get down to brass tacks. I learned so much tonight from each and every one of you. And Mr. Roberts, welcome to the green room. I know it's your first time here. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Dickerson, Ms. Wallace, welcome back. It's always great to have you both here. Betty Friedan, where do you start with the women's suffrage movement and the women's rights movements without mentioning Betty Friedan's name? She is such an instrumental part of what made the fabric of America what it was from the 1930s on to about 99, when things started kind of going backwards a little bit, as you mentioned. Frederick Douglass, I have to repeat what everybody else has said. He's not necessarily an unsung hero in my purview, because we have learned so much about the man, and he is such a integral part of American history, Americana, if you were. He is Americana. I mean, he laid the groundworks for Dr. King. He laid the groundworks for many things that you saw in the civil rights movement. And then there's Adlai Stevenson, who, unbeknownst to a lot of people, almost single-handedly averted the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, I'm tasked with telling me who gave the better debate on this. And honestly, with the amount of information I was given on all 3 individuals, I've got to say Ms. Wallace gave me the most amount of information that I had to process. So I'm going to say 3 points to you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Guys and gals, I'll read this right now. Now we're counting your votes, all of the viewer votes, because you guys are the engine that makes this entire thing go, as you know. So let me give you guys the rundown. Victor Santiago are one of our wild card voters. Your votes are worth 3. My vote is for Eric Dickerson for speaking on Frederick Douglass, women's rights, which not too many people know about. So my vote goes to him. I disagree with the judges because many people in this younger generation do not know about one Frederick Douglass, and they should. So 3 points for Mr. Dickerson. Julie Hall says, blown away by all 3. This was so close, but because all 3 were great. But the Cuban Missile Crisis was a very big thing growing up, so my vote goes to Mr. Eric Roberts. Since I wasn't aware of Stevenson's involvement, Julie Hall is voting for Mr. Dickerson, and Mr. Heron in the back. Thank you for tallying everything as well. The unsung heroes back there, the judges, and, of course, Eric tallying things. Johnny McKinney votes for Mr. Eric Dickerson. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate that. Guys and gals, you are one of the most intelligent audiences, and I brag about that daily. This was a great debate. Bubba, let us know who you're voting for and why. Christopher says, everyone did so well, but my vote goes to Dee because she really gave a lot of details behind the struggles of women and how we need a Betty again today. One more point for Miss Dee Wallace, guys. Mrs. Dee Wallace, thank you so much. Victor Santiago, I did receive your votes. Trying to sneak another one in there, aren't you? I like that. Dakota Benson, such a great point by each of these wonderful people. Hard to judge. I know, and I'm not judging, so I cannot relate to you. I am sorry. We have Kevin voting for Eric Dickerson. Okay. Kevin Scarborough votes for Eric Dickerson. This is going to be close. I could tell. Cheryl Riley says, wow, I learned something I didn't know each week. Thank you, Cheryl. That's the point. Thank you. And we're going to have fun. All great debaters, and my vote goes to Eric Dickerson. Thank you, Cheryl Riley. I appreciate that. Fiona says, my vote is for Eric. Which Eric? Fiona? Let us know. No problem. I'll still count your vote. Pete Sharpie says, my vote goes to Eric Roberts. Thank you, Pete. Appreciate that. Another vote for Mr. Roberts. We have Joe Rizard. There's more being addressed in the conversations, and I love that Eric Dickerson was so thorough, but who are you voting for? Jester Gambit says, Eric Roberts gets my vote. He's the best of the best. I see what you did there, Jester Gambit. I like that. Awesome stuff here. We have more votes. Randy Pritchard, my vote goes to Mr. Eric Roberts. Thank you. Mindy Red says, my vote goes to Eric Dickerson on this topic. Thank you, Mindy Red. John Red says, Eric Dickerson was the man on the football field. Yes, and off the football field too, John Red. Absolutely. More stuff with Mr. Dickerson coming down the pike on this network, guys. We'll talk about that later. Man, oh man. This is quite the evening, our 150th episode. Julie says, my vote goes to Eric Dickerson with his topic on Frederick Douglass. All were good, but Eric was very passionate about his topic. So Mr. Dickerson gets a vote, and Jaleesa Bailey votes for Eric Roberts. Thank you, guys and gals. Again, a very, very awesome community here. Positive and intelligent. A great combination. John Red said it's nice to see Mr. Dickerson on the green room. I got that, but who you're voting for is what we want to know. It'll be really nice for Mr. Dickerson if you let us know if you're voting for him or not. Let us know. Who are you voting for? Anyone? Katie Leroy Hoffman, thank you, voting for Mrs. Dee Wallace. And Bubba Harris concurs, also voting for Mrs. Dee Wallace. Thank you very much, guys. A positive human being is Dee. I want to talk about her books a bit later, guys and gals, because you guys need to pick them up. They are amazing. And Mr. Eric Roberts and I, man, again, as heartfelt and as in love with storytelling as anybody else is in this craft, and Mr. Eric Dickerson, who does so much, a Hall of Fame person and Hall of Fame athlete. Okay, more and more. Chad, TKN Ultimate Superfan says, as close as this one was, I'm going to have to give Dee the edge on this one. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. Another vote for Mrs. Dee Wallace, and Joe Rizart concurs. My vote goes to to Dee Wallace. Guys, I can't bring up all the votes because we're on 53 pages. I'll do my best. Let's see if we have any more coming down the pike. And if not, then we will wrap up round number 1, and let's see how it stands. Gina says, really difficult for me. It's just by a hair, but this round for me goes to Dee Wallace. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate that. John says, I'm going to go with Dee Wallace in this first round. What a great job by all three. Oh, after all that, with Mr. Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson doesn't want your compliments anymore, John Red. How about that? I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm teasing. Maybe. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Giselle says, books by Dee Wallace. Yes. Be patient because we are going to talk about the incredible books. Phil Donahue says, my vote goes for Mr. Eric Roberts. Thank you for your votes, guys and gals. I believe that's it. Andrew Red says, I vote for Dee Wallace. Okay, great. We got that. And Dakota Benson, the wonderful Dee Wallace gets my vote. She was very thorough and detailed in her speech. Thank you, Dakota. 1,000 comments on my page already. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. That's awesome. This was tough, according to Jeff Riederer. My vote goes to Eric Dickerson. So another point for Eric Dickerson. And Julie Cabanis concurs. Eric Dickerson as well. Blake Cabanis votes for Eric Roberts. Eric Heron's fingers are doing a lot of work backstage. Joe Rizart, I got your vote for Dee Wallace. Julie Red is voting for Mr. Eric Roberts. Okay. All right. Andrew Red III says, great debate, but my vote goes to Dee Wallace for sure. Okay, got that. I got that. Guys, I believe that is it for now. I'm going to count things down. Kevin Scarborough says, I vote for Big Eric Dickerson. Okay, got you there. Ian Hernandez, I believe Dee was able to balance passion with fact, which is a hard thing to do. I vote Dee. All right, so guys, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. A late comment, a late vote. Sean Archer votes for Eric Dickerson. Okay, got your vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. After round number 1, Eric Roberts with 16 points, Dee Wallace with 14, and Eric Dickerson with 13 to advance, guys. This is close. A point differential of 3 from 1 to 3. This is incredible, and we have 2 more topics, guys. So with that, let me bring in the second topic right now, which is going to be a fun one. Most unexpected friendships in film history. Fictional friendships. Friends are an important part of our lives. They laugh with us. They mooch off. No, that's something else. They laugh with us. They share their joy. They make us feel better when we're down, brighten up our days, and they offer genuine support and advice. When we're mature enough to become well acquainted with our interests, we seek to find friends who are alike so that we could spend hours and hours talking about the same books, music, movies. And we believe that those are the people that we would like to get along with since we have so much in common with them. But have you ever tried to step out of your comfort zone and get to know people that are different from you? There's something good in the unexpected. We can learn something new about ourselves and become a better person in the process. So we're going to start things off with Mr. Eric Dickerson, who's going to make a case for the fictional friendship between Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed as the most unexpected friendship in film history. And then we're going to kick it off to Mrs. Dee Wallace, who will make a case for the fictional friendship between there was a young boy in that amazing Alien movie in 1982 and the Alien. She's going to make a case as the most unexpected friendship that ever seen in film between those two. And then Mr. Eric Roberts will make a case for the fictional friendship between Billy Ray Valentine, played by Eddie Murphy, and Louis Winthrop, played by Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places, as the most unexpected friendship in film history. Mr. Dickerson, are you ready to go?
I guess I'm ready.
In a 3, in a 2.
Okay, when I think of Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed, both of them are fighters. And it's all about who wants to win. That's what it comes down to, is who wants to win the most. They tell the Rocky Balboa story. You know, he's a guy from the streets, Philadelphia, boxer, not a great boxer at the time, but, you know, he has a trainer that makes him a great boxer, a guy who never wants to quit, gives it his all, 100% all the time. But on the other side, You have a guy that you really never see. You see him as a champion. You see Apollo Creed as the guy that's flashy. You know, he's a black guy. You know, he's bouncing around. You know, you never really see his struggles. So you don't know if they will mesh or they won't mesh when the story starts. So, and I look at this story, I look at two guys from opposite sides of the track, because I know what it's like to be from one side of the track and the white guy to be from the other side of the track. So when they do come, most definitely you look at this guy and you say, hey, you know, this is the white guy. This guy, he has everything, even though Apollo Creed doesn't know what Rocky has. And Rocky doesn't know what Apollo Creed has. All he knows is, here's a flashy champion. I want to be champion. I'm not flashy. I'm not that guy, but I want to be that guy. Maybe not the flashy guy, but I want to be that guy. But eventually, as time goes on, you have a mutual respect for one another because you both are fighters. It's no different than playing football. It's a fight on each side. All of a sudden, you look at this guy and say, you know what? This guy's pretty tough. You might not say it out loud, but in your face, when you see him sitting on that bench, each fight looking like, okay, all right, he is all what he's cut out to be. You know, they talk about him being the champ. I see why he's a champ. You've got the guy from across the tracks, Rocky Balboa, the street guy. I see why he's Rocky Balboa. I see why he's tough. He hits hard. He never gives up. But at the end, when they come to the ring, the final fight, you have to look and say, you know what? I lost the fight. Rocky did lose the fight, but he won Apollo Creed's respect as a fighter. And that's the most important thing. He won his respect. So in Rocky 2, they became friends. When you get older, you see things differently.
Eric Dickerson, guys and gals, Rocky and Apollo. I love that. And I love the passion. I love the facts. It was all in there, guys and gals. Now we're going to kick it off to Mr. Eric Roberts, who will make a case for the fictional friendship between Billy Ray Valentine, played by Eddie Murphy, and Louis Winthrop, played by Dan Aykroyd, in Trading Places as the most unexpected friendship in film history. Mr. Roberts, are you ready to go?
Almost. Yeah.
Guys and gals, in a 3, in a 2, in a U.
Okay, we're talking about Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, right? While they have completely different upbringings, and it's obviously apparent right away, their basic survival instincts, their humor, their fear, their desires, actually mirrored each other. They were the same guy. They just had opposite jobs. They learned to see the world through each other's eyes and to grow to respect each other, and they were cool about it because though they traded places in society, neither of them ever traded in the fabric of their most basic selves, who they were. They didn't act like somebody else. And yeah, that's and you know, when you find, like how they say opposites attract, well, that's true to some degree, but opposites are also just other sides of the same coin. So they are the same. And humor is universal. And that's why these very dangerous situations with crime and with criminals are made digestible and funny. That's really all I can say about them.
Mr. My friend, appreciate that, guys and gals. Your comments here right now, we're seeing them trickle down live. We appreciate that. Again, thank you, Mr. Roberts. I'm going to give it up to every single person after every single topic because they deserve that with their research and, of course, with their time. He brought up Eric Dickerson brought up Mr. Carl Weathers, who played Apollo. Are we going to be seeing
Carl Weathers? Yay.
Who knows? We might be seeing Mr. Apollo Creed himself pretty soon. Guys and gals, I'm going to give it up to Miss Dee Wallace right now, who will make a case for the fictional relationship. You guys remember that favorite movie in 1982? What an incredible movie. We're talking about the alien, everyone's favorite alien, and of course, the little boy that he befriended as well. Mrs. Dee Wallace, are you ready to go?
I am so ready to go with this subject.
3, in a 2, in a 2.
It's obviously this. Oh, here come the tears. Sorry. This friendship is very, very close to my heart. It represents every friendship of love that I've ever had. It represents my friendship with my dog and my daughter and my mate and my own mommy. The beauty of this friendship, and they could not be more opposite than each other. They're not even from the same world. But it was occurring to me when I was preparing for this that this friendship was very much like Timmy and Lassie. That the hearts and the souls of these two characters came together to learn from each other, trust each other, create with each other. They learned friendship, they learned love, and they explored those topics together and grew together through the exploration of that. They brought each other into a maturity, but a maturity through innocence. And I know that if we could all achieve that innocence of trust and just pure love, that we could create the world we want in every way. And this is what that friendship showed us, that when you move into a friendship with non-judgment and acceptance and wonder and naivete, anything is possible.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
And guys, there was a story too. A mother and her special needs child walked over to Dee one day and told her what effect it had, what effect she had. And Dee, that's what it's all about.
You bet. When we can affect and change lives, that's why I am in this business. That's why I was in the teaching business also. I think when all of us can really touch another person's life and heart, that's really why we're all here.
So well said. Guys and gals, right now, I just want to let you know again, this was our second topic. Our judges will come in. And again, guys, you get this every Saturday night. Who knows who's going to show up? Since December, you've been seeing every single Saturday night a luminary from a different walk of life. And it's not just because of their name on the Walk of Fame or anything like that. It's because of how hard they work to get there and how much they give back. Those are the people that represent the Green Room. But that being said, 14 Hall of Famers, 16 award winners in this tournament. I mean, it blows your mind, and we're still not done with round number 1 in this month of August. So who knows who we'll see next Saturday and beyond. With that, let's bring in Mr. Brian Blair and see who he votes for in this round and why.
Again, this was so close, Avi. Dee's passion was amazing. I'm crying inside. It was very, very beautiful. But we're judging what brought these two opposite characters together. And I thought that Mr. Dickerson laid out some tremendous points about Rocky and Apollo. They were one of my favorite movies, by the way, just the whole series. Absolutely excellent. Aykroyd and Murphy. Wow. You really sewed that together, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you very much.
It was amazing. It really was. I'm sitting here and I've been trying to decide. It is just that close, but I'm a humble guy, and I'm just gonna say that I will go with Dee this time, but they were all three amazing. Just tremendous job, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. I appreciate that, good sir. Thank you. 3 points, guys and gals, from Brian Blair to Dee Wallace. Let's bring in Mr. Pete Babcock. Let us know who you vote for in this round and why.
Well, I agree with Brian. This was a really difficult one. All three made outstanding presentations for their points. Eric Roberts, the fact that you brought the similarities of two different people, that they were more similar than they realized, and that humor brought them together. I think you made some really great points about human nature. I appreciated that. Eric Dickerson, I really like the point that you made about kind of summarizing, if I put words in your mouth, but it's almost like they grew to respect each other for their differences, even though they realized there were similarities, and they're both great competitors, and they were respected each other's talent, but they respected each other's differences rather than discriminating because of those differences. And I thought that was an amazing point, and that whole storyline with Rocky and Apollo Creed, I thought was so well done in the film. And Dee, the passion that you had for how these two totally different beings were able to come together and learn to love one another and respect one another and become friends. I feel like Brian, this is really a close call. I'm going to go with Dee on this one.
Mr. Pete Babcock, thank you so much for voting. Dee Wallace receives Mr. Babcock's votes. And again, guys and gals, we are on every single Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the Grand Debate Tournament, Pride in the Prize, trip for 2 to Greece on the line, of course, 13 grand, everything else, and more. But it's all about love, competitive camaraderie, and we do it consistently. So with that, let's bring in more judges. Giselle, who do you vote for in this round and why?
My vote this round is going to Dee Wallace. Mr. Roberts and Mr. Dickerson, excuse me. You both spoke about how these friendships developed because they weren't so different after all. You gave us a lot of the similarities in their worldviews and their experiences and backgrounds. And that was partly how they were able to develop such strong friendships. But Mrs. Wallace, they came from two different worlds. You had me practically crying as soon as you started tearing up. And your lovely words about creating in every way with acceptance and wonder and naivety, those touched my heart.
Well, it touches our heart too. You work also with special needs children, Giselle, and you give back so much of yourself as well. Thank you so much. Another 3 points, guys and gals, for Mrs. Dee Wallace. Let's bring in Mr. Eric Heron and see who he votes for and why.
Woo! Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, I've got to say, Mrs. Wallace, I don't crack up very easily, but you had me on the verge. I mean, it was close, very, very close. But I got to keep the Eric thing going right now because I agree with Mr. Dickerson 100%, because you had two people on the complete opposite sides of the track who formed this respect from shared blood loss. I mean, literally, they were trying to kill each other, and that's where the respect came from. And personal experience being, nobody hits you harder than your brother. But the fact that these two men started out as foes and then grew to have that respect and then an unshakable friendship after that, to me, that speaks volumes to me. So I'm going to say Mr. Dickerson gets 3 points, Avi. 3
points for Mr. Heron. Let me pull this comment real quick. Rock says, could there be a finals with 3 Erics? Eric Heron, Eric Roberts.
It could be. Come on. I'm willing.
Mr. Heron, of course, in round number 2. And thank you for your service, Mr. Heron. Appreciate that as well. Guys and gals, again, what a great night we're having. One final topic. Now, let's kick it over to all of the viewers who are the engine that makes this thing go, as you know. Mindy Red says, my vote is for Dee Wallace. Eric Heron, thank you for tallying in the back. We have another vote. Okay, let's see. Phil says, I have to go with Mr. Dickerson. Once foes brought together by mutual respect, Don't forget that Rocky was a true Hemingway hero. That is from Phil Donahue. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, a vote to Mr. Dickerson. Gus Anselmo says, thank God I made it. Phone died. Who do you vote for? Let us know. We would appreciate that. More votes, more votes. Let's see. Julie Hall says, again, all three were great, but my vote goes to Dee Wallace. The friendship that she described was so moving, and you were great. We were both great in that film, and of course, a Stephen King classic as well. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Julie Hall. Johnny McKinney votes for Dee Wallace, as does Julie Cabanis, who says, my vote for Dee Wallace. She was on point with her topic and was really great. Without question, all three are really great in more ways than one. Blake says, Dee Wallace got my vote. Connected with her story. Love the film she described. I definitely connected the story on the aliens. Thank you so much for your vote. And Jeff Reeder says, my vote goes to Eric Dickerson. His arguments flowed naturally like a couple of guys talking over a beer. And they did that, right? Didn't Rocky and Apollo do that? A couple of guys talking over a beer. Remember part 3? You want to know what the favor was? What's the favor? Tell me what the favor is. I just want to know what the favor is. You want to know the favor? He owed them a favor. We never found out what the favor was. I never found out what that favor was. But they definitely had great camaraderie and a great, great script as well. Yes, more votes, more votes. John Red. Let's see who you're voting for. Jess says, Eric Dickerson is the man on and off the football field. It's nice to see him on the green room. I'm voting for him in this round. Okay, John Red votes for Mr. Eric Dickerson. And of course, we're tallying stuff in the back. Okay, we're doing this live. Let's see if there are more votes for this second round on Facebook. All right, Cheryl Riley says, my vote is for Eric Dickerson. Thank you, Mrs. Cheryl Riley. Mel Red said, Mrs. Wallace had me in my feelings. Is that a vote? Is that a vote? Let us know who you're voting for officially. I'm sorry to be the Scrooge over here. I'm sorry. Got to make this official. I was one of those teachers. Yeah, I know. Let's see what else we got. Bubba Brewer, our wildcard voter, one of them, says, great debate. Rocky movie. Great debate. I'm sorry. Great debate. Eric did very well, but my vote again is for Dee Wallace. Loved her passion. 3 points as Bubba is one of our wildcard voters. Okay. Gus Anselmo votes for Mr. Eric Roberts. Gus votes for Mr. Eric Roberts. Yeah. Joey, look at this. Joey Bag of Donuts says, my vote goes to Dee Wallace on this one. Had me incredibly emotional. Joey Bag of Donuts. I would take that seriously, but you're Joey Bag of Donuts.
Joey Bag of Donuts never been emotional.
No,
Never.
no. And Joey Bag of Donuts has no emotion. No one named Joey Bag of Donuts does. Christopher Farnan says, my vote goes for Mr. Dickerson because he was able to show how two opposite people can respect each other. Yeah. Vote goes for Mr. Eric Dickerson. Patrick agrees. I vote for Eric Dickerson on this one. Katie Lee says, I love the film that Dee described. Are you voting for her? Let us know. Thank you so much for the passion. We appreciate that. Fiona says, my vote goes to Eric Dickerson as a huge fan of the Rocky and Creed movies, but that a lot of people wouldn't think that as competitors, they would form a bond, but all three did a fantastic job. I concur wholeheartedly. Chad says, wow, such a great topic. Everyone nailed such awesome points and great reasons to vote for them. Again, I have to vote for Dee. She really gets you with her words and passion. Oh, man, Chad, I'm telling you right now, what a night we're having. Another vote for Dee Wallace. Okay. Christy. Yes, my vote is for Dee Wallace. She touched my heart. Thank you, Christy. Karen Calabretta says, I am voting for Eric Dickerson, but what a great group of debaters. Yes, indeed, Karen. I do not want to face any of them in round 2 if I am up against them. No. We have a few more to go before round 2 is over. So let's see what we got here. TCAN, the new network. Thank you, guys and gals. We appreciate that. A lot of hard work went into this. 14 months. 5 figures worth of personal investment to do this thing. I love it. I love all of you guys. Thank you so much as well. All right, more. Davis Jubilee says, I vote for Mr. Roberts. Thank you, Mr. Jubilee. Appreciate that. Okay,
Thank you.
More votes. Julie Red says, although all did great, my vote goes to Dee Wallace. Okay, let's see more. If we do have more. Alexander Garcia, yes, he's voting. More close ones. Eric Dickerson gets my vote here. Julie Reeder says, I'm voting for Eric Dickerson due to pointing out how differences can highlight respect for each other, no matter how seemingly opposite people can be. Guys, I'm getting bad flashbacks because this is so close. I feel like I'm watching a mid-90s Knicks game, and they always let me down. That's a different story for a different time. Let's more. We have more. Bubba Brewer, I got your votes too. Let's see what we have here to make sure round 1 ends with a bang. No, I think that's it. We're going to count things down. No, Ian Hernandez says, even though I sometimes feel like an alien, I'm going to vote for Mr. Dickerson. As an athlete himself, he gave us a personally appointed argument. Don't feel like an alien, Ian. You are here. You are welcome. You're part of this show. We love you. All right. Mel Red says, I vote for Dee Wallace. I love her, how she broke down the relationship. Awesome votes. Awesome analysis from our judges and viewers. This is great. Dakota Benson says, Eric Dickerson gets my vote this round. Rocky and Creed was an inspiration. Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to count this thing down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys and gals, right now, Eric, if you can give me the total. Is that the total, Eric? Is that what we have right now? Dee Wallace is in the lead with 36 points. Eric Dickerson has 29 points. Eric Roberts has 18 points. It's still anyone's game. So it is Dee Wallace 29. Excuse me. Dee Wallace 36. Eric Dickerson 29. Eric Roberts 18. Guys, we're going into the final round right here. Final round. All right. And again, our judges' points are worth 3 each, so you never know what could happen. Guys, third topic. Our greatest gift. The greatest virtue and the greatest gift you can give yourself is peace of mind. And thankfully, it's something you could choose to give yourself. Your true self experiences and peace of mind are eternal. But in order to experience your true self, you need to experience that peace first. This makes peace of mind the key thing to aim for in life. Sometimes it can be tough. No Nick's jokes inserted. Again, you can choose to have that peace. That's primarily achieved by mentally letting go of what disturbs you. Your lack of peace of mind is generated by your investment in maintaining your false sense of self, by mental attachments to who you're not. And against your seeming experience, be willing to accept that you are perfect, innocent, fully protected, and lacking nothing. Equally, be willing to accept that this is also true for everybody else. Also be willing to accept that in your mind, you have a memory of this perfection of yours and others. By ultimately making this view of yourself and others second nature, by always being mindful of yours and others' innocence and perfection, nothing can disturb your inner peace. Guys and gals, since we're rotating who goes first each round, Mr. Eric Roberts will make a case for gratitude as the greatest gift that we can give ourselves. And then Mr. Eric Dickerson will make a case for forgiveness as the greatest gift that we can give ourselves. And we'll wrap things up with Mrs. Dee Wallace, who will make a case for self-love as the greatest gift we can give ourselves. Mr. Roberts, are you ready?
I'm standing by.
In a 3, in a 2, in a...
We all know the expression, life's a bitch and then you die. Well, I've appreciated and yet fought that expression my whole life. And we all know the lyric, if you can't be with the one you love, love the one you're with. Well, we're all surrounded by people at all stages of the dream, their dream. There are people who get everything they want, who got everything they wanted. There are people who waited and got somewhat they wanted, but had to let go of a lot. And there are people who just keep coming close, and people who just seem to suffer loss after loss after loss. But most control, I believe, is an illusion. If you look through a certain lens, all that appears before you is a sea of pain. The only answer to all this stuff is kindness. And the avenue to kindness is appreciation. And of course, gratitude. And I'm not talking about the kind of gratitude that you wait for. I'm talking about the practice of gratitude, the choice. You literally have to sit yourself down and look at every moment and find something to be grateful for. Recommend it to your friends. Recommend it to strangers. It's a way to accept that dreams do not always come true. It's a way to be okay with that. Gratitude is a way to befriend reality. Not because it makes us okay with everything, but because it allows us to live with things we don't necessarily like and to find joy in what we do. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.
Good one.
Thank you.
Good one, Eric. Good one.
Thank you, Eric.
Good one, man. Really good one. Shoots. I don't know how to follow that.
Wow.
Well, I got a lot of gratitude, so I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing that from the heart, man. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely, my friend. Mr. Eric Dickerson, you could please make a case for forgiveness as the greatest gift that we can give ourselves whenever you're ready.
Oh, forgiveness. Well, think about that word, forgiveness. I think a lot of people have been hurt by loved ones, so-called friends, and you can say out of your mouth that you forgive someone, but when you look into your heart, God can see your heart. You can say things outwardly, I do this, I just love this, but inwardly you could have a different feeling. forgiveness is something that you really have to come to accept. You have to lay down everything, just like Jesus Christ laid down everything, his life for everyone. I'm gonna lay this down and I forgive you. I can say that from personal experiences with my family, that I've been hurt, heartbroken, and that I said at times I forgave them, but I really hadn't. But now for sure, as years gone by, I've known I've forgiven them. I can even go back to the times when I played for the Los Angeles Rams. And this is off the cuff, but the way they treated me, you know, and I hated that football team after I left. I really did, because of the way they treated me. And I hated the guy that ran the team, which was me and him are friends. And that's funny how you can say you forgive someone. And when I met with him after I retired, I came and met with him, and he said, "Eric, I just want to apologize for how we treated you." And I said, "Man, I forgive you." And it's funny how we're friends now. So forgiveness is very difficult. It's sometimes it goes in steps. It's not something that you do right away. Like I say, it can come out of your mouth, but forgiveness is in your heart. And in your heart, you know, when you look at someone, you say, "I forgive you. I really do forgive you." And that's my take on forgiveness. Forgiveness is also love. So that's me.
Wow. Thank you for that, Eric. That was heavy, dude. Good on you.
Wow.
Okay.
Guys and gals, rarely am I speechless. It is one of those moments that I am, and I am humbled. Mrs. Dee Wallace, if you can please make a case for self-love as the greatest gift that we can give ourselves whenever you are ready.
You know, we're never taught self-love. We're actually taught not to love ourselves, that it's blasphemous, that it's we're full of ourselves if we love ourselves. But if you think about it, everything in your life is a choice. And isn't it a match to self-love to forgive others? Don't you raise yourself up with love when you're in gratitude for your life and for your blessings? You know, I believe love is the greatest power we have to create with. If you want something, love it more. And if you are continually judging yourself, putting yourself down, not accepting your own magnificence and your light, it's more challenging to be in gratitude and forgiveness and acceptance for the blessings in your life. You see, guys, to bring in brain science a little bit, we are electrical beings. They measure our hearts with electrocardiograms, our brains with electroencephalograms. So every feeling and every thought that we have has a frequency and a vibration that we shoot out into a world that is electromagnetic. So if we send out love, the universe looks for a match to that love and it sends it back to us. If we send out fear and judgment, the universe looks for a match to that and sends it back to us. And we keep repeating the patterns and the challenges in our life. When we love ourselves, we choose the highest love for everything and everybody else in our lives. And it raises us up as well as everything that we touch. I start every day by saying my intention is to be love and send love to everything and everyone, and to magnetize love back to me in every way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dee. Guys, I want to read this over here. Wow, manifest that love. Never thought of it like that. Guys, yes, we love that. We're trying to provoke thought here in a fun way. That's what we're trying to do here. And, you know, I see some people in the comment section. You know, Phil, you're more than just a biker. Dee, of course, is more than just an actress. Eric is more than just a football player. That's why I do what I do here, guys. No one's going to put anyone in a box. We have a lot of opinions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of heart, and that's what we're going to do over here. Everybody else in internet land can do what they want. They can do interviews and they can do things the way they'd like to. I don't like doing things just because it has to be linear. We're doing things here that matter, that open things up and remind you that we're all the same. Whether you're in the comment section or whether you're here debating, we all are one and the same. We're connected to each other. Guys, I cannot believe what a great conversation we had. More of a conversation than debate. So let's bring in all of our awesome judges, starting with Mr. Pete Babcock, who will let us know in this third round who he votes for and why.
Wow, that was a heavy finish. That was amazing. First of all, let me just say that I'm a huge fan of all three of you professionally. Admire the work that you've all done in your respective fields. So it's a pleasure to be able to see you and meet you and interact with you. Avi, am I allowed to divide my 3 points? Is that permissible?
No.
No. Because, you know, Eric Dickerson, you know, I spent 42 years in professional basketball. So as being in professional sports, you know, ties are like almost unacceptable, right? I mean, we play to win. There needs to be a winner at the end. But I'm having just a hard time with this because all three of you, like all three, you know, forgiveness, self-love, gratitude, they're all part of being a human being. And like, how do you say one's more important than the other? I don't know how you make a choice. I guess I'm going to have to empathetically go because of my professional career. I'm going to have to go with Eric Dickerson because I can relate to disappointments he may have had professionally, because I've gone through some of those same kinds of things, relationships with players, relationships with coaches, owners.
We're not talking about the Clippers, right? When you were
That's mean.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, spent 3 of my 4 years there with the infamous Donald T. Sterling. So,
yeah,
you know, there's so much forgiveness that has to go.
Anyway. You left your franchises better than they were, Mr. Babcock.
Oh my gosh! So I guess. Seriously, it's an absolute tie for me, but I'm just going to have to go with Eric Dickerson.
Mr. Pete Babcock votes for Eric Dickerson. 3 points for Mr. Dickerson as we bring in Mr. Brian Blair.
Well, I thought Pete really articulated everything extremely well. Very, 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 very close. Often, Avi, you know this. It depends on which topic that you get. Forgiveness, gratitude, self-love. Those are all three unique and distinct, different emotions. And to me, gratitude is something I've been totally instilled with all of my life. And I've never had a problem with gratitude. And I thought Mr. Roberts, you know, did a wonderful job in articulating that. And, you know, self-forgiveness or self-love, you know, that's a tough one sometimes. I mean, I guess you've got to love yourself first before you can love anybody else. And Dee made some tremendous points. I thought it was a great motivational speech. But forgiveness, that's something that that we all have to deal with at times, especially when you're an athlete. And it doesn't matter if you're an athlete. You could be a janitor, or you could do whatever you do. Forgiving somebody is very, very difficult sometimes. And I just thought that Mr. Dickerson's passion was right from the heart. He was so honest, and he didn't read anything. I mean, that was truly from the heart. I've got to give my vote to Mr. Dickerson.
Mr. Blair votes for Mr. Dickerson. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. I would like to ask our judges to hang around after this topic for a brief conversation as well. And again, guys, this is our final topic. So let's see how it goes. Let's bring in Giselle and see who she votes for and why.
You almost had me tearing up as soon as you began speaking on the last topic. Mrs. Wallace, all three of you have me tearing up on this one. It is not possible to express in words what these topics mean to us. Mr. Roberts, your points on practicing gratitude, making that a fully realized everyday practice, were so wonderful, and something I've heard from a few other people before, and very difficult to do. Mr. Dickerson, the juxtaposition of saying you forgive someone without really feeling it when you are actually able to fully realize that forgiveness makes it so real and so authentic and so relieving and comforting, and you feel better about yourself. My vote is going to again go to Mrs. Wallace, because she brought in how self-love reflects on the other two traits, how they help you with forgiveness, how they help you with gratitude, how they help others see you in those and help others with those. And then she brought in some of the signs as well, with the vibrations and the thoughts and the electromagnets. It's a lot. But Mrs. Wallace, you have my vote on this very emotional topic.
Thank you, Giselle. Mr. Heron.
Everybody take a breath. You made it. You made it, and you all did amazing. Before I get into all this and re-enumerate what my colleagues have said, Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," and each of you have exuded that. You're so gracious with your time and your words, and your passion exudes through. And I can say for myself, and hopefully everybody watching this program, that we have all fallen in love with each and every one of you tonight. So kudos to you for that. Now, the hard part, deciding who won, because Mr. Dickerson, your passion for forgiveness, you are 100% right. It comes from within. I struggle with that daily. We all do. And Miss Wallace, loving oneself is often the hardest thing in this world to do. You look in the mirror, you don't always like the man or the lady that you see. But what struck me was Mr. Roberts talking about gratitude, because things don't always go according to plan. The story doesn't always end the way you want it to, but just being grateful for being in the story, being grateful for taking part in it at some juncture. I feel that lifts your life up a little bit better and maybe adds a few more years onto you. So, Mr. Eric Roberts, me to you, 3 points, sir.
Thank you, Val. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Heron. I appreciate that. Guys, it all comes down to this. All of you in the comment section, thank you. Beautiful words from our judges. Beautiful words also from you guys in a literary fashion, in an articulate fashion, the way you're articulating yourselves verbally, and, of course, the written word that pops up on the screen when you're voting. We all appreciate that. Gus says, I vote for Dee Wallace. This round, after hearing Eric Roberts, I was wondering how that perfect take could be topped But then Eric Dickerson did such a beautiful take. But Dee, you went beyond anything I could have imagined. I vote for Dee. Roller coaster, but I got it. You are voting for Mrs. Dee Wallace. Thank you, Gus Anselmo. Dakota Benson says, my vote has to go to the beautiful Dee Wallace. Self-love is something I struggle with every day. But her speech reminded me how important life-changing it is. And sometimes life-saving. Thank you, Mrs. Dee Wallace. Karen Calabretta. My vote goes to Dee with this one. Choosing our internet every day and talking about what we give is what we get makes us realize our personal energy into the world every day is important. Thank you, Karen Calabretta. We appreciate your vote as well. Jaleesa says, my vote is for Dee Wallace. Self-love is so important. Guys, again, we thank you, and thankfully you're thanking this incredible panel over here as well for giving us their hearts and their minds and their souls in such a wholehearted fashion. Victor, 3-point wildcard voter, says, you all did great. Congrats to you all, but my vote goes to Dee Wallace on this one. Love is everything. Have a great night. Love you all. Thank you, Victor Santiago. 3 points, one of our wildcard voters. Okay. Phil says, I would love to give, yes, a third to each. In the end, I vote for Dee Wallace. It all begins ends with self-love. All right. Julie Reeder says, yes, very true. Let's see more votes in the comment section, guys. Give me a break. I'm doing this live. Christopher says, wow, what a topic. So hard to vote on. My vote goes to Dee on this one. Dee gets my vote because she echoed that love is so powerful. Of the greatest of these three is love. Christopher votes for Dee Wallace. This is what the grand debate is all about. Yes, guys and gals, the backdrop is the tournament, the competition, but conversation is what it's all about. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Bubba Brewer, all three of them brought great aspects to their topics. Let us know who you're voting for, please, if you don't mind. Joe Rizart says, my vote goes to Eric Dickerson. Another vote for Mr. Dickerson. Chad says, it all starts with self-love. I have to vote again for Dee. That is Chad. Okay, more. Patrick says, great job by all three competitors tonight. Very thought-provoking topics. My final vote goes to Eric Dickerson. Without forgiveness to open your heart, you cannot truly love yourself and be grateful. Mrs. D from Karen Price. She votes for Mrs. D. Julie Hall says, super topic. Self-love, forgiveness, all great gratitude to focus on the another two. My vote goes to Eric Roberts. Mr. Eric Roberts receives a vote from Mrs. Julie Hall. Okay, let's see if we have another one here, guys and gals, on Facebook. Jester Gambit says, my vote is for Dee Wallace. Okay, I got that. And I don't believe I missed anyone on Facebook, but let's see, guys. We are on 53 pages. Give me a minute, and I will try to pull up as many as I possibly can. Fiona says, my vote goes to Dee Wallace, but everyone really did an amazing job tonight. Absolutely, yes. They even laughed at my Knicks joke, so that's pretty cool. Randy Pritchard says, Dee Wallace nailed it. She gets my vote. Thank you, Randy. Katie, Leroy Hoffman, all gave excellent points. My vote goes again for Dee. Okay. Mr. Collado says he votes for Eric Roberts. Control is an illusion from Mr. Howard Collado. Interesting takes from our voters as well. Kevin says, my vote is for Avi Klein for best dress. Get out of here with that stuff. I don't know about all that. Gina Permanente, so difficult. Grateful to hear all the words and points from these esteemed competitors. My vote goes to Dee Wallace from Gina Permanente. Thank you. And Kevin Scarborough, you're right. All right, Julie Red says, Dee gets my vote. Lester Cook says, Dee Wallace gets my vote. You could see, guys, all competitors are hanging on the edge of their seats to see who wins this thing. 2 out of 3 will advance to round number 2. These topics are hard-hitting. Felt this in my soul. Going to go with Eric Dickerson in this last round. I echo Mr. Heron. Mr. Roberts gets my vote by a hair. Mr. Jubilee voting for Mr. Roberts. And Bubba Brewer, 3 points, wildcard voter. Like I said, all 3 brought it tonight. Thank you all. Class act, much respect, but this time I vote for Eric Roberts. It flowed. Mr. Bubba Brewer votes for Mr. Eric Roberts. 3 points for Mr. Roberts. Julie, Dee Wallace was really on her point with her topic. Let us know who you're voting for. Ian Hernandez, my vote goes to Mr. Eric Roberts. Gratitude being a choice is very self-empowering. Another point for Mr. Eric Roberts, guys and gals. This is close. Cheryl says, you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. My vote is for Dee Wallace. Joe Rizart concurs, as does Andrew Red III. Dee Wallace gets my vote. And Julie Cabanis as well. So 4 straight points for Dee Wallace from our viewers. Make that 5 as Alexander Garcia. Such poignant arguments tonight. Poignant arguments. This vote goes to Dee. Okay, Mindy Red says, wow, this is tough. I felt their hearts put out there for us. I have to vote for Mr. Dickerson on this one. All right, guys and gals, remember, there is something called the Last Resort Bowl. Again, anyone who's lost after round number 1, we're only doing this after round 1, a stipulation. Anybody who's lost gets a chance to come back into round number 2, so you never know. One of these amazing competitors gets a chance maybe to come back again for round number 2 in the fall. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so with that, I'm going to count this down Let's see if I missed anything. Johnny McKinney votes for Dee Wallace. Mel Red votes for Mr. Dickerson. There are no losers in tonight's debate. They're all winners. You are absolutely right about that. I agree with you. Jeff Reeder says, great job by all three tonight. Each of you touched me personally. My vote goes to D on this one. Phil says, I don't laugh at your Knicks jokes. Start. It's a good start. Save yourself a lot of time. Rock says, I'm torn between D and Eric. Yeah, it's tough, man. Totally get you. All right there. So Rock is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let's see who he votes for. Ian says, Avi, we're going to have to forgive the 90s Knicks at some point. Why do you keep bringing the Knicks up? It's the 150th episode. I don't need to hear about them anymore. Kara J says, I vote for Mr. Roberts. Okay. Guys, I'm going to count this down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With a total of 63 points, Mrs. Dee Wallace moves on to round number 2 of the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to kick it over to Dee in a moment, guys and gals, because the second individual that moves on officially to round number 2 of this tournament with 40 points to 30, Eric Dickerson with 40 points also moves on to round number 2 of the Celebrity Grand Debate Tournament. Eric. Thank you so much, guys and gals and pals, for enjoying this video and watching it. If you love the content, if you're enjoying it, please like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, and make sure that you know that we know that the new network is on the rise. Thank you for being who you are.